Rob Van Dam, listen to True Hill Heat. Pow.
What's up, True Hill Heat? True Hill Heat. What's up? True Hill Heat. All hands on me.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube and Facebook for Rated Raw Review, episode 114, Fastlane 2 War, reviewing the September 26, 2023 edition of Monday Night Raw, as only we can. And this week, we started it last week. We had Rob Wilkins of Fightful. Now this week, our special guest, he is the host of Out the Ring over on his own YouTube channel. You've seen him across the board here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel for a couple of our watch-alongs. I think he's been on a review. He's been on Around the Point. He's been on Fightful Overbooked. He is Kaden Lee. How are you doing, Kaden?
I am doing great. I have not talked about an episode of Monday Night Raw or an episode of WWE programming in general in maybe 4 to 5 months at this point. So I'm excited to talk about it. My return to talking about WWE wrestling and my return to talking about wrestling for the first time in like a month at all.
The retirement lasted a month?
Yeah, I took a little break.
Why you don't call it sabbatical? You should call it a sabbatical.
It was a brief sabbatical that I ended maybe 3 weeks earlier than I wanted to.
You got it, but you gotta call it a sabbatical in the first place. Don't call it retirement.
I do.
You retire so many times. You are the Terry Funk of wrestling media. Like, you just need to call it, I'm going on hiatus. I'm going on sabbatical. I'm going on vacation. You got multiple different words you can use outside of retirement because you know you're coming back.
Yeah, our good friend Kate Elizabeth was making fun of me last week when I was like, "Oh, I think I'm back to watching wrestling," and she's like, "Man, you take so many breaks, and they're all like a week and a half, maybe two." I've had one break that was like maybe 20 hours, and I was like, "Oh, I'm already bored."
20 hours? Who takes a 20-hour break?
I was gonna take a break, and then I got really bored, and I was like, "I have nothing else to do." It was during my summer. I was just sitting at home. I couldn't get a job, so I was like, "All right, well, I guess it's all wrestling. I can do wrestling stuff again."
Well, we are glad that none of you take 20-hour sabbaticals because you've been showing your support here to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. So we appreciate anyone who's joining us live here for Rated Raw Review. We appreciate anyone who is a subscriber already. We appreciate all of y'all. If you're watching us live, watching us on demand, show that appreciation back in the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the content here. And we're well on our way. We're I think less than 500 subscribers away to our 10,000 goal for 2023. So if you have a friend that needs some wrestling content or needs their up to date on everything wrestling, this is the YouTube channel to subscribe to. So tell them to hit that subscribe button as well. And of course, if you're with us live, sound off in the live chat. We love to hear from all of y'all. So sound off with all your thoughts on last night's WWE Raw. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you can send a super chat donation. Always appreciate that. We are a self-funded channel. The only way any of our contributors, you give back to them is with those super chat donations. So we always appreciate that. And you can also become a member just like the Negro Buck Nick Jackson, who says, "What's up, SP3 and Kaden?" We got Vala B, also another member, who says, "Oh boy, it's Kaden." Do you get that everywhere you go? Do people say that to you? Oh boy.
No, I haven't gotten. Oh boy, it's Caden. I did get a fan at Grand Slam who was like, "Oh, I know you."
There you go.
I'll take
Let's
it.
go,
I'll take it.
Kaden. Let's go.
I got
You
one at
gotta
All Out. I got one at Grand Slam. I think I got 3 WrestleMania weeks. I think I'm up to 5 or 6 at this point. I'll take what I can get.
Bravo. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. What was the one at All Out? What they say to you at All Out?
It was after the show. I was waiting for somebody. I was waiting for our friend Cher Delaware, and then he just comes up to me and goes, "Hey, are you Caden from Fightful?" And I go, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I watch your stuff." And then just shook my hand and left.
I will say that happened way more times than I've even talked about at All Out. Like I had one lady, I wanted to get her name because I wanted to shout her out because she actually watches not only just True Hill Heat, she watches me and Jimmy. Because she was like, "Yeah, I was just watching you and Jimmy watching Atlanta." I was like, "Oh my god, thank you." I was like, yeah. She's like, "Are you gonna review the show tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah." True Hill Heat. She's like, "Yeah, I already know. I'm a subscriber." I was like, "Oh my god, thank you." I didn't even get her name though. I wanted to get her name, but I'm just so taken aback by people knowing me.
Yeah, it's like the few amount that I've had, like the first one, Sean was with me, and it was like, I don't know how to react to this situation.
There you go. There you go. You're getting up in the world. That's why you can't retire, sir. You go on sabbaticals. I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you things. You say sabbatical. Sabbatical. There you go. We got Trey in the chat who says you're we have also in the chat here Negro Buck says 20 hours. That's crazy. He's like, Trey Jones says you don't take 20-hour breaks. Man, if I wish I could take a 20-hour break. You know what? I got told today that my knowledge of wrestling is a key to my position in my job. So I was like, I can't stop watching wrestling, man. Y'all making it harder for me. Trey Jones saying I take 48 hours at least. Yeah, I need that. I need at least 24 hours. I gotta get a 24-hour break where I don't watch wrestling. I don't know if that's possible for me, Kaden. I don't know.
I think I went about 2 weeks. It was like right after All Out. I was like, okay, I did my rewatch of All Out to do a review show with Rob, and then I like didn't watch like I maybe watched like 5 minutes of a Dynamite just to see like one little segment, and I was like, okay, I don't need to watch this show. And then maybe another like 5 minutes from an episode of Raw because I was bored. But besides, like, I didn't watch anything other than that. Like, I didn't complete a single match for about 2.5 weeks, and it was great. It was really nice to be like, okay, I need like a little time. I'm just gonna binge watch Star Wars, and that's what I did. I binge watched Star Wars.
Hey, I need to watch Asuka. A couple of people told me I need to watch that.
Ahsoka?
Asuka.
It's really good.
Asuka.
It's pretty good.
However you say it, I need to watch it. That's what people need to. That's what people have told me. So I need a day of no wrestling. That's not possible though, because just on this channel alone, I review Raw, Dynamite, Collision. What else do I review on this channel? I do
Well,
a
this
whole.
weekend you're gonna have Wrestle Dream and No Mercy.
I review every WWE pay-per-view, every AEW pay-per-view, every New Japan pay-per-view. Jesus Christ! I can never get a day off. That's why I'm actually more impressed than saying it's stupid that you took a 20-hour break. I don't know if I can do that. We got Nero Buck who says, "Hell yeah, fam! On the road to 10K. Yes, indeed. Had a big weekend with a couple of new subscribers. So shout out to anyone who is new to the channel and sound off in the live chat if you're new to the channel and just subscribed. We love to hear the new folks and join our family in the community in the live chat for one of our live streams here. We got." Yeah, Trey Jones, New Japan too, man. It's just like I got that New Japan world, man. I make the use of that not what is it, $8.99 that I spent on that.
Yeah,
Well,
that 999 yen.
I don't spend on that. I just pay Jay News more and I use his. So
Speaking of New Japan, I feel like I haven't told you this yet. I am going to Best of Super Juniors next year.
oh, you're going to Japan for Best of Super Juniors? Wow.
Yeah, we're
Nice.
going. We were hoping to be there for Dominion, but the timing didn't work. So I'm like, all right, Best of Super Juniors works.
There you go. There you go. You're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be a bunch
I'm
of
so
fun,
excited.
especially after this year's tournament. They got a lot to
Mhm.
live up to. But let's finally. We always shoot the shit on this channel. It seems every time I do any type of stream, I spend at least 10 to 15 minutes not talking about what I'm supposed to talk about. So let's finally get into last night's Monday Night Raw, the September 25th, 2023 edition of Monday Night Raw from Ontario, California. They done messed up and tripped into a Dynamite crowd. This is one of the best crowds for a WWE TV show I think I've seen all year. What did you
Yeah.
think, Kaden, about the crowd?
The crowd was fantastic. It was really good because, I mean, WWE crowds recently have not been great. I think pay-per-views usually can kind of get there depending on where you're at. And you get like one or two every few weeks that like end up being really good. And this crowd was fantastic. I don't know if it was like that California vibe because sometimes you get some really good ones out there and then you can get mid. But man, they were electric for everything. Like even people who like Tegan Knox, who hasn't been on TV in months, she got reactions. Not as loud, but she eventually like she got there. They were making noise for everything. It was great.
Yeah, they were cheering, "Let's go Champa." It was like, man, the people that ain't not even on TV getting big pops today. So yeah,
Hmm.
I gotta show love to Ontario, California crowd. Awesome crowd last night. And the show kicked off as per usual with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. But of course, this time he knows what he wants to talk about. And he says that he's been hearing all the people talking about his decision to bring Jay Uso to Monday Night Raw. And after a clip of last week, we hear from him and he talks about how someone is going to have to go to SmackDown in return for Uso. It also means a disgruntled locker room who wanted to watch Uso sink, but he and Uso are not best friends. But sometimes something tells him we're not in the third inning anymore, boys, in reference to Paul Heyman's line saying that the bloodline story is only in the third inning a few weeks back. Rhodes says Uso made the right decision by turning down the Judgment Day, but this brings out the Judgment Day again without Rhea Ripley this week to interrupt. Dominic Mysterio is getting booed out the building. So Cody points out that no one likes him. Rhodes mentions that Ripley isn't here tonight. They get gets Dominic upset and they tease a fight, but Jey Uso has Cody Rhodes back here. They still say that it's 3-on-2. So they get up on the apron. They look like they're about to get into the ring to attack. But then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come through the crowd. They have the back of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. They stand tall while the Judgment Day bails and they back away. However, when they get up the entranceway, out comes JD McDonough with a steel chair. He hands another steel chair to Finn Balor and they head to the ring. Dominic follows behind. Damian Priest is very apprehensive. He finally joins the rest of the crew. He's eventually left inside the ring on his own. He gets a big steel chair to the back and he's very, very upset at the end of this. Later on, just a few segments later, we see Damian Priest coming into the Judgment Day locker room where JD McDonough is chopping it up with Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. He barks at him, says that he's not in the Judgment Day, and tells him to get out, and then tells Dom and Finn he needs a minute to gain his composure. What did you think about this opening segment here with dissension in the Judgment Day due to JD McDonough getting a little too big for his britches there?
I thought this worked. It was a decent segment. I thought Cody's promo at the beginning I mean, Cody's always a great promo. And the third inning line, I popped me big. I hope this means that we actually are out of the third inning because I am so sick of the bloodline story. I do not care. I have not cared since WrestleMania. In terms of the Judgment Day stuff, it's fine. Like it feels like it's kind of treading water and they're just trying to get to war games, which I'm sure will be brought up throughout the night or throughout the review. But yeah, like it works. am trying to figure out like why was JD McDonough looking like a waiter? Like throwback to Baron Corbin in 2019 with the vest working at Applebee's. It looked like when when Priest was yelling at him backstage, it looked like he accidentally like gave him the wrong side or something. He was like, "Oh, I wanted French fries. I didn't want vegetables."
There you go. He didn't get the apps right. He didn't get the apps right, so JD had to get barked at and told to get out the restaurant. But yeah, no, I thought this was an effective opening segment. I mean, it's nothing new. Nothing new here. It's been done. I did like Cody's promo. I thought Cody's promo was a little bit new and making reference to the bloodline as well as the SmackDown trade. But that's not how trades work, WWE. You don't give somebody one of your pieces and then they spend a month with them before you figure out who you want in return. That's not how trades work. Usually the negotiation process happens before the one of the guys goes to the other team.
Maybe it was for future considerations. It could have been future considerations. That's all that happens all the time in hockey. It's like, oh, we're just gonna send over this random guy for future considerations, and no one knows what it means. But I guess WWE, maybe Triple H likes hockey. He's using those trades.
Man, ain't nobody like hockey except for you and Jeremy Lambert.
me, Jeremy and Cole.
Frantic Girl saying, "What's up, SP3?" Kaden in the chat. We also got Trey Jones saying, "Why they jumped Damian like that?" Yeah, like that. I felt a certain way about that. Yes, Valaby. I said this on True Hill. I said this on Sports Kita actually last week during the SmackDown review when talking about Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I was like, why does every faction in WWE need to have dissension? Like Triple H loves that. He loves a faction that has dissension. The Bloodline.
He's
the
always
Day,
loved. He's
the
always loved
Imperium.
that.
But he was never a part of the factions that constantly tease dissension. He did realize that the reason why people were invested in the whole Batista slow burn was the fact that you had a full year of no dissension, really. That's why the whole Randy Orton turn came out of nowhere and didn't make sense because they didn't tease any dissension. He just won the world title, and then Triple H was like, nope, thumbs down.
It doesn't make sense either because he's booked dissensions well. Like the Undisputed Era dissension, when they eventually did that turn in 2021, that was really well done because you waited. I like it. I really like that turn a lot.
I will tell you from interviewing someone who was a part of that angle, I'm not. He said the same thing. He did not want that.
He doesn't like it. I'm not surprised he didn't like it. He didn't like anything.
He didn't want that. But you could tell from the stuff that Cole and Kyle said after they left, they didn't like it either. So like, I'm sorry, I didn't. Nah, they didn't do that properly either. That came out of nowhere. They didn't really tease it. It was just Kyle O'Reilly got a push. Adam Cole said he was all right, and then he super kicked Finn Balor one day, and then decided to super kick Kyle as well. It wasn't teased and slow burn the way that Batista Triple H was. It was kind of
not thrown as bad out as there. That. No, there was still a little bit more than what they're doing, kind of with Imperium just kind of randomly doing it, and then like it's just my issue more is like it is every single faction because it's like you said, Bloodline, Judgment Day, Imperium, every single faction in WWE has some sort of dissension, and it's not even like a slow burn. It's just that like every week they're doing a little bit of dissension, and it's been going on for like 6 months at this point, and they don't do the turn. The Bloodline, they did do at least a slow burn, even though it was way too far dragged out, and they've kind of lost the plot at this point. But every other one, it's just like, are you pulling the trigger or are you not? Let's figure out where we're going instead of like biding time for a moment that may or may not come.
And it's about time that you just put JD McDonough in the Judgment Day. We know that's where this is probably going, and that's the only thing that makes sense to do. Like I've had enough of it. Like just put him in the group or don't put him in the group. That's where I'm at now. All right. Next up, we had our opening matchup, which was a battle of the beefy boys. It was Otis going one-on-one with Big Bronson Reed. This lived up to what we were expecting here. It was two meaty men slapping meat, bouncing off of each other. Big moves. You had Bronson Reed with a big Samoan drop at one point. They collided in the center ring at another point. The finish comes when Otis goes for a Vader bomb. Bronson Reed is able to move out the way. He hits a backsplash, and then he follows up, Samoan drop, and then he follows up with a big tsunami for the 1-2-3. This even got a light meat chant. So I give it up for Ontario, California. Thank you. Thank you for keeping the memory alive of Meat-O-Mania from All Out. But yeah, this was probably Bronson Reed's best match since he's returned to WWE. I really enjoyed this one. It only went 4 minutes, 22 seconds, and this was a lot of fun. What did you think, Kaden?
Yeah, this was a really well done sprint. One of my favorite Bronson rematches I think I've ever seen in general, like in WWE at least. They did a great job here with the time they were given. And yeah, like everything just kind of clicked really well and worked, effective, getting Bronson Reed another big win 2 weeks in a row. It feels like this might be some sort of like sustained push instead of the 1 or 2 weeks of wins and then he's off TV doing nothing for 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm hoping this is consistent because I think a match with him and Gunther will be really good if they go with it.
Yeah, I want to see Gunther slap the meat. I want to see Gunther
Mhm.
slap the meat. Hey, but yes, I would. That's a match I would love to see at this point because he's had some good performances like this one right here. Got a couple of people in the chat. We got Trey Jones who says tsunami. We also got Vala B who says Hunter definitely booked this week without any interference. They brought up the trade. JD is back on TV. Tegan actually on TV, and Bronson was treated like a star again. Yeah, it did seem like this was a Triple H show more than anything
Yes.
Vince had his fingerprints on. Next up, we get in the back Becky Lynch. She's shining her title when Tegan Knox pulls up on her. Lynch wanted Knox to answer last week's open challenge, but Knox says that she deferred to the veteran Natalya. Becky says you need to step on some toes to get where you need to go, so she'll see Knox in the ring one day, and then she walks off. Then we follow up immediately after the commercial break, which I did like this, how they followed up immediately with Tegan going to Adam Pearce's office, and in comes Natalya as Tegan Knox is asking for the winner of the NXT Women's Championship matchup coming up at NXT No Mercy. And she says that Natalya comes in and says that you have to earn title shots and you aren't just given them, and she thinks that she deserves a rematch. And Tegan says, haven't you got enough opportunities? You've been here for 50 years. She even raises her voice, showing some fire. Adam Pearce gets involved and says that they'll face each other later tonight, and the winner will get the winner at NXT No Mercy for the NXT Women's Championship. What did you think about this follow-up to Tegan Knox being left off television last week and actually talking about it on TV here and making a story out of it?
Really good angle, like very well done by them to take the situation because Sean reported it on Select. People were talking about it. It got out. And they use that. They use that fans like us would know that and book the story for them, but also made it to where people who didn't know that situation at home, because there's a lot of people who wouldn't know that at all, and they can at least somewhat understand and get invested. It really, really well done work by everybody. I am a big fan of Tegan Knox. I've always really liked Tegan Knox, and so I hope that this is like Bronson Reed. I hope that this is the start of a sustained push. She's incredibly talented, and she deserves a big, like a really nice story.
I agree. I think she is talented, and she's just not catching up, not caught a break since she's returned to
Yeah.
WWE. So hopefully, this is a change of pace for her. Next up, we had a singles match. It was Tommaso Ciampa going one-on-one with Ludwig Kaiser, another a part of Tommaso Ciampa's mission to go through Imperium one by one. This match goes 8 minutes, 18 seconds. The finish was a little bit of a distraction finish with Giovanni Vinci trying to get involved, and Ciampa catches him with the running, trembling knee. As he's selling, the referee is distracted, so he misses Ludwig Kaiser hitting his jumping kick for a fall, and Ludwig kicks Vinci out of the damn ring, mad disrespectful, and then Ciampa catches him with a jumping knee, 1, 2, 3 to pick up another victory against Imperium. All the while, Gunther is watching and getting upset after Ciampa once again gets a victory over Imperium. And it was announced later in the night with a little bit of a backstage segment where Ludwig Kaiser was talking first to Alpha Academy, where they talked about him losing and he needs to go away. And Chad Gable told him to remind Gunther that he's still coming for the IC title. And then Gunther chastised both Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, and then told Ludwig that Giovanni Vinci is now his responsibility. So if he makes a mistake, it's on him basically now. So more dissension in Imperium. I'm not a fan of that because the best use of all these guys is as a group. So I don't know why they always seem to do this every 3 weeks, it seems. But I did like the matchup for the amount of time that it got, and I like the fact that they're building up Ciampa for his eventual match against Gunther. I just wish they would announce this match for a pay-per-view, because I have a feeling the reason that they didn't announce when the match is going down, because they said at a future date when they talked about the contract signing next week, I think this is going to be on TV again.
I agree. I think it's on TV as well. It should be on Fastlane because they've got nothing announced for this show at all, and it's it's like what it's next weekend. I think it's the weekend after this.
Yo, they took a punt on Payback and Fastlane, it seems.
Yeah, it's I don't know what's going on because No Mercy looks great, but I don't know what they're doing. I liked the match. Thought it was fine. It served its story. I like seeing Ciampa wrestle. The only question I have really is, I wonder if Ciampa ever found Johnny Gargano, because I know we haven't.
This is very true. This is very true. I think everyone is still wondering, where the hell is Johnny Gargano? Where the hell did Johnny go? Oh, where the hell can he be? We got a couple of people in the chat. We got Safet joining us saying sup. We also got Frantic Roll with another good question. I got a question. Where is Cameron Grimes at?
There's a lot of people who are just like, they called up Odyssey Jones, made him a free agent. He hasn't been on TV. I
Zion
mean, I know where
Quinn.
Von Wagner got killed, but like he was also called up. Zion was in that battle royal, and then we never saw him again after that. There were a few
A lot of
people
these
like,
guys were in that battle royal and then never seen again.
yeah,
And
yeah.
some of
There's a
them
lot
got
of people
released
who
this
are
past
just,
week.
yeah.
The
There are
winner
a
of that
few.
battle royal got released this past week.
Mhm. There's so many like talented people that are just sitting, not really doing anything, especially in the women's division. Like Tegan's starting to get there at least, but and I mean they finally brought back Alba and Isla, but there's still like really good, really, really great wrestlers who are just sitting, and you can use them, add depth to your show, make match. I've always said, like, it's good to have a nice extended roster, not necessarily bloated, but when you have 5 hours of television, when you have a bunch of extra people, it can create interesting matchups. It can refresh stories, make sure you're not running similar angles or similar matches every single week, and use some people to get over when they're not in the championship story. Make sure that people are consistently getting wins. And I think the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've noticed that they're starting to get better at that, but it's still like there's still a lot of people like Johnny and Cameron who would be very beneficial to help both products. Because I think Cameron's technically on SmackDown, and he would help SmackDown a lot too.
Yeah, SmackDown, a lot of it is boring outside of if the bloodline is good or not. But right now it's not good. But anyway, next up we had a video of Dragon Lee hyping him up for the North American Championship matchup. Then we had Becky Lynch coming out to join the commentary team as the winner of the next matchup would face the winner of her match against Tiffany Stratton, Extreme Rules at NXT No Mercy. It's Tegan Knox going one-on-one with Natalya. Becky Lynch had a couple of good sound bites during the commentary here, talking about how she started on the mid card and nobody was giving her opportunities, and she had to make her opportunities. So that's why she wants to defend the NXT Women's Championship against the lesser used, the lesser utilized women on the roster, which is pretty much what a mid card title should be used for. And I guess they're kind of making NXT gaining exposure for the title by making it a mid card title on Raw. And this was a pretty good matchup here. It went 2 minutes 36 seconds, so didn't get a whole bunch of time, but Tegan Nox looked impressive, hitting the shiniest wizard for the 1-2-3. She got a reaction from the crowd as well and had a little stare down with the champion afterwards. And it was announced later in the night that either Becky Lynch or Tiffany Stratton will defend the NXT Women's Championship against Tegan Nox next week on Monday Night Raw. What did you think, Kaden?
Really good. Another really good sprint on this show. They did a few of those where I was like, wow, they worked. They worked for the time they were given. They did really well with everything. Natty's power bomb was like real nasty, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, destroyed her. The shiniest wizard at the end. Some really well done sequences, because I think that power bomb was a shiniest wizard attempt that she caught into the power bomb. Everything worked here. Natty's putting on her working boots the last like 2 to 3 months, and she's kicking ass, which I love to see. I'd like to see her kind of do. I know I think she was in NXT last year for a little bit. It'd be great to kind of see her. If you wanted to do like every week, every other week or something, bring up an NXT star and just have them wrestle Natty on Raw, like do like a 5 to 6 minute match. I'd really like to see that, because she works really well with everybody and she's a ring general. I'm excited to see what Becky and Tegan, because I think Becky's retaining against Tiff. Excited to see what they kind of do. Excited to see what Beck and Tiffy do in the Extreme Rules match. But I mean, we all know where this is going with Becky. I think we all know.
Yes, it was officially announced today that Jade Cargill has signed officially with WWE, and I think that's what we're going. Like I literally booked.
Yeah.
I booked Jade Cargill from here to WrestleMania and then beyond. It's pretty much
Mhm.
she comes in, she probably washes through everybody in the breakout tournament, faces Becky at Deadline or on an episode of Monday Night Raw and beats her, and then goes into the Royal Rumble, has a dominant run as NXT Women's Champion, gets a headline matchup at Vengeance Day, and then Stand and Deliver, drops the title at Stand and Deliver, then gets called up to the main roster. Or she can relinquish the title after she gets called up to the main roster. I mean, Indy Hartwell did it. You could do it with Jade Cargill.
I think she's relinquishing that title. That was my booking, was like, you have her definitely win the breakout tournament, like just destroy everybody, kind of like what she did in that TBS title tournament too. Like besides Thunder Rosa, she had to beat Thunder Rosa with Mercedes Martinez helping. But besides that, like she blew through everybody. And then just have her like absolutely kick ass. Be very careful. I think you got to be careful about who she beats in NXT, because there's still some people you need to be a little protective of, like Tiffany, Roxy, all those people. But you can have her blow through a few people, and then she's like, I'm relinquishing this title. I don't need it. I want to go make my money. And I think it works for the character. Be like, I'm that bitch. I need to make Raw that bitch show. I don't need this title. It's below me. I want the bigger one. And the issue that I've had with thinking about that is,
She's
could
not
it
going
make
to
the
Raw.
NXT
She's not going to
not going
Raw.
to Raw? You think SmackDown?
She's going to SmackDown.
Is it SmackDown?
You don't pay that money to Nia Jax and then immediately make her null and void by bringing Jade Cargill onto the same brand as her. If they're smart, I mean, WWE makes dumb decisions a lot, so they could make the dumb decision and totally make re-signing Nia Jax a dumb move, because you're just gonna sign Jade Cargill a month after. So no, if they're smart, they put her on SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown's dope too, because that's where Bianca is, and you build up for Jade Bianca. I would do that WrestleMania like in Philly. I do
No,
whatever you can. I put that on
that's
Mania this
blow
year.
your load booking. That is something you build to, and they're already building. It's quite obvious WWE already have their WrestleMania, their top like 4 or 5 matches already booked up.
Mhm.
There's a reason why we never got Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair this year, even though they interacted quite often since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's because that's the WrestleMania 40 matchup. That same reason why Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch is the WrestleMania 40 matchup. They already have WrestleMania booked up. It would be total microwave booking if they gave us Jay Cargo and Bianca Belair there. They can build it up, make it bigger if they push it back to like 41, 42, something like that. Because you still haven't done by
Mhm.
Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. This is why, see,
Yep.
wrestling fans like you is the reason I hate wrestling, because y'all never can just stick with one fucking matchup. This week, y'all want the Hurt Business. The next week, y'all want this to come. Y'all want the Hardcore title to come back. Like, y'all sick. Y'all make me sick.
I've never said I want the Hardcore title to come back.
No, but I'm
I've
just saying.
never
I'm just
said
saying
that.
how fickle y'all are. Y'all go
Yes,
from
I am.
one
I am.
thing,
Oh,
y'all
I'm
bounce
fickle.
up and
Yeah.
down. Y'all like a fucking pinball machine. Y'all goes up. I want that one. I want this one. Oh, we got
No,
Trey
yeah.
Jones naming all the matches he wants to
You're
see
right.
here.
You're
See,
right.
I will give you credit, Kaden. You fully acknowledge you are that fan. Trey
100%. I can fully acknowledge it any day.
Trey Jones saying Jade versus Io. We got him also saying
Good.
Jade versus Asuka. We got Jade versus Mia Yim. Yeah, those are all the matchups you can have on SmackDown. So those are good. Those are some good ones. And yeah, of course, Jay Cargo versus Charlotte Flair. That's the best match she's gonna have, honestly. Is it like I
Battle.
think the bigger matchup is Bianca Belair, but the more the worker that can guide her to her best match is Charlotte Flair. But
Mhm.
let's go on to the rest of Monday Night Raw here. Seth freaking Rollins comes out for a chat. He says that the fans are tired of Shinsuke Nakamura attacking him, and he asks them if they agree to sing his song. Rollins says he's challenged Nakamura to fight him in a rematch, so if Nakamura isn't out here right now, he's moving on. He says that he can come out here and get his shot. This brings up Shinsuke Nakamura on the big screen to say in Japanese that Rollins' body is failing him, but he wants one last chance. He says one last chance to take everything away from him so he can't pick up his daughter, he can't walk anymore, and of course, he was telegraphing what the stipulation was going to be throughout this whole video. I was like, yeah, it's
Mhm.
last man standing. Could you cut to the chase? It's at Fastlane. It's going to be last man standing matchup. Seth Rollins responds with a fired up promo. He looks a little unsure at first, but then he says his broken back is a strength, not a weakness. He says his family will only be ashamed of him if he doesn't give it everything he has. His family knows he loves them, but they know he loves this at just as much. And Rollins says 100% what makes him Rollins at 100% makes him the best in the world. So they can get crazy at Fastlane because he's a revolutionary. He's a visionary. He is Seth freaking Rollins. Fired up promo, but I hate to nitpick again. And I said this last week. I'm saying it again here. This is a second week where it was stronger than the stuff they've done previously, but it still just feels so secondary for what's supposed to be the top title on this show.
I definitely think it feels secondary. Like they're pushing that Judgment Day, Cody, Jey Uso, KO, Sammy stuff more. But man, I love it. I have loved everything they've done with Nakamura over the last 6 months or 6 weeks. I'll be honest, I still have not watched the match from Payback because I was at Collision, but I probably will this week. Who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But in terms of the character work, I've loved the character work. Everything they're doing with letting him do the Japanese promos, which I've been asking for with a lot of Japanese talent, to just let them do those types of promos and just put the captions up. People can read. I know wrestling fans aren't the smartest people in the world, but I'm sure that they could read subtitles for at least a little bit. And the cadence of the way he talks, the way they're using the sound and the music in order to add to everything he's saying. Rollins' emotions afterwards when he was talking about his wife and his daughter and then sort of tearing up a little bit. And the way he added that just added so much emotion into the match where, yes, while it does feel secondary in terms of the way they're presenting it, it makes me much more invested in this than anything else on Raw right now. This was my favorite segment of the night, easily.
Wow. Yeah. Was not that for me. Um
I loved it.
I
Like, this is like, everything's working for me. It's right up my
no,
alley.
I think that everything they're doing, they're executing it well. It's very effective, but it's not effective in what they're trying to get across of this. This is the top program on Raw when it's not. It's not even close.
Mhm. I
It's
agree.
definitely the Judgment Day because they have woven that storytelling so well that just feels top tier. But I think that the only thing that's an issue with this, like I said, the only issue I
I
have
agree.
with this in general is that it should feel bigger. It should feel bigger. And honestly, I still don't have any inkling that Shinsuke Nakamura is going to win this.
I don't either. I think Seth's easily winning this. Like, I thought there was a chance that Seth could have or that Shinsuke could have won that first match and done something interesting, but they didn't do it. So I was like, all right, he didn't win that one. He's not winning the second one, especially since it's last man standing. It gives you a little bit of an out for Shinsuke to take another loss here. It also does give you an out if
Yeah.
you want to have Rollins lose without getting pinned, but I don't see them going in that direction whatsoever right now. I would love it. I would honestly really like it. Like something different. Give me shocks. I'll take it. But no, no chance.
I'm putting a poll up for the chat here because I saw an interesting comment. Uh, So I'm putting the poll up, and it's going to be the poll of the biggest fumble at SummerSlam because I feel like SummerSlam has genuinely affected my ability to enjoy WWE programming quite as well as
It's
I was
I've stopped.
enjoying it before SummerSlam because I feel like they had two fumbles that have kind of not really been addressed yet. So I put the fumbles here because of Queen Monet's comment. Thank you, Queen Monet, for that comment that gave me the inspiration for the poll here. As Queen Monet saying, if Judgment Day was going to continue to be the top program, then maybe they should have put the world title on Finn. Yes,
Yep.
yes, that's true. That is true. And
Mhm.
if you're gonna do Jay versus Jimmy at WrestleMania, maybe you shouldn't turn Jimmy Uso at SummerSlam because then you have to figure out stuff to make both guys interesting until then. And I have no faith in that after the last 8 weeks since SummerSlam because Jimmy Uso, they've changed the course of his character at least 4 times already. Like, it's like ridiculous. So I put in the chat, what is the bigger fumble at SummerSlam? Finn not winning the title or Jimmy Uso heel turn? So you guys can
I
vote on that.
I've I lean way more towards Jimmy because that ruined me wanting to watch SmackDown. Like, I just don't even care about watching it anymore. I don't care about the bloodline. Like, they ruined that whole story for me. I don't care about Roman. Like, that's all dead. I like Jay still because at least Jay got away from it and he's doing his own
Yes.
thing. And I really like what they're doing with Jay actually on Raw. I'm really intrigued by that story. But man, I don't give a singular shit about anything they're doing with the bloodline.
It's fair. It's fair. It's fair feeling to have at this point. Trey Joe's saying Nakamura feels like a supervillain, but he's still gonna lose to a guy with a bad back. Exactly. Like that's why I'm like
Yes.
it feels like all this good presentation and good character work they're doing for Nakamura, it's going to feel hollow at the end, and especially because
Yep.
they're literally foreshadowing that he's losing and then he's going to feud with Ricochet because immediately after this segment, they had Ricochet on crutches after last week's attack, and he said he isn't done with Shinsuke Nakamura and wants him no matter what happens at Fastlane. So I was like, okay, Nakamura loses and then feuds with Ricochet on Raw.
Yeah.
You pretty much told me this.
Yeah, I mean, they choreographed what they're doing with Shinsuke. I'm still like, I know I shouldn't be faithful. I'm still gonna hope that maybe there's a slight chance that he wins this title because I want him to win a championship so badly in WWE
And
because I
Santa
love his
Claus isn't
character.
real, Kaden. Santa
Oh
Claus
my God,
isn't
Santa
real.
Claus isn't real? No. God damn.
Easter
Let me have
Bunny isn't real.
fuck.
The Easter Bunny isn't real.
I
Jesus
just
Christ.
I just want Shinsuke to hold this title, and he's not going to.
Kenny
Oh,
Omega's not gonna answer your text messages.
he's going. No. He's going to. He's going to respond to my tweet. He is 100% going to. I expect it. That one is.
NXT North American Championship up for grabs next. Dominic Mysterio defending against Dragon Lee. Now, I expected one match, and I expected this to be a showcase for Dragon Lee, who's so talented, been talented for so many years, and one of the best signings that WWE has done in the recent amount of years as far as talents outside of WWE for his work, over in Mexico, over in New Japan, Ring of Honor. But boy, oh boy, this blew me away because I felt like this was Dominic Mysterio's best performance in the ring. I felt like he had someone that was very similar to his dad, and he was just a great bump and feed guy for Dragon Lee, and his selling was on point. He was a great base for a lot of his aerial offense, that crazy Hurricane Rata that he does over the top rope down to the floor off the apron was spectacular. The sit out power bomb looked high on the neck. That was great. Dominic does eventually counter a running DDT by crouching Dragon Lee on the top rope and then hits a frog splash. This match only went just over 10 minutes, but they packed so much action into this. One of the more faster paced matches that I've ever seen Dominic Mysterio in. And this was, man, this is, I'm going to decide at the end, but there's a couple of contenders for it, but this is definitely in the match of the night contendership right here because this was a hell of a sprint. What did you think?
This was fantastic. This was really, really good between these two guys. I keep seeing people say Dominic Mysterio can't work, and then every time I watch a Dominic Mysterio match, I go, man, I really like it. I like most of his matches right now. I think he's doing pretty good. And of course, it's Dragon
I
Lee.
do too, except when he versus Cody. I'm sorry, they just treat him like
Oh
Miz
yeah,
in
no. Those
2009.
I don't need those.
Yeah.
No, I don't need those matches. No, those two don't click together. But, like, I mean, Dragon Lee is incredible. He's a great talent. He always has been a great talent. I was super excited when he signed to see what he did, and they were not like, they didn't really have direction for him. I felt like for like, especially in this past summer in NXT, and now they've kind of found it, and he got over, like, real easily last night. Within the first, like, 60 seconds of that match, he'd gotten himself over with the crowd. It feels like they might be getting ready to kind of, like, maybe move him up to the main roster with that positioning, which I would really like to see because he's fantastic. Yeah, like they killed it. Dom had his best performance, like easily one of his best, but possibly his best in ring performance for a match, especially like I mean with the crowd at least like that because I feel like that Seth match was pretty good, that first one he had, but since then nothing really that stood out besides like he worked. He
The
was
Rey
able
Mysterio match
to.
at WrestleMania. That was
The Rey Mysterio
probably
match was fantastic. Yes, that was I really liked that match. But this was like in terms of like being on television at least, especially like he was able to get in there and adapt to that speed that Dragon Lee has, which I've always been a little worried with Dominic because he does not work super fast. He's a much slower wrestler, especially
But he
because
just
he's
had to be
new.
the base. He didn't really have to
Yes.
go run the ropes like Dragon Lee did. And like CPZ
Yes.
says, he says, I think Dom felt more comfortable wrestling the lucha style than he does regular WWE style. Yeah, that's why I
Mhm.
think that him and Cody don't make good partners because Cody is so regular WWE style, and Dom is probably more comfortable doing the lucha style that he was brought up in.
Yeah, he was able to be he based really well for Dragon here, and they put together a really well done match. The finish kind of opened up a door for probably one more match between these two, where Dragon I think gets the win. I'm
I'm just like you should have done the title change here. If you're gonna do it at No
I
Mercy,
would
you
have.
should have done the title change here and then done a rematch at No Mercy.
I agree. I 100% agree. That's the 100% the direction I would have done, especially getting Dragon Lee a big win on Raw. Like that would have been incredible, but I'm not gonna complain about getting more between these two guys because this feels like Dom's finally kind of found someone besides his father who he works really well with in the ring. It feels like he's kind of found that guy who they both match up really well. They work well off of each other. And yes, Dragon's kind of carrying a lot and he just kind of needs to sit there and be a base. But even then, like some people just can't do that super well. And he struggled in the past with certain people about just being a base. So it feels like they have really good communication and it's helping. Like this right now, the last 2 months with Dom being in NXT, I feel like has helped bring Dom's in-ring work up to another level to where it's finally matching. Not amazing, but he's at least getting there where he can have a good match, and we're not just like, "Oh, we have to see Dom wrestle," and kinda be dreading it.
We got Trey Jones saying, I need Dragon Lee to have a run with the NA title like he did with the TV title in ROH. Yeah, he had a hell of both runs with the TV title that
Yes.
he had. We got Queen O'Neill who says, does Dom still end up defending the title at No Mercy? I think it's going to be a rematch with Dragon
Dragon
Lee.
Yeah.
Probably I would do mass versus title. If you're going to add a
Ooh,
stipulation where you don't have to
that's
add
good.
too much to it, but it still adds a little bit more stakes to it, mass versus
Yeah.
title. Since this would be Dragon Lee's third attempt at beating Dom for the North American title, so Dom can say, "I hate people with masks." He said it to him. That's how he introduced
Mhm.
himself on Raw. He was like, "I hate people that wear a mask like my dad. I'm gonna take your mask." We go backstage and we hear from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They are ready to win back the tag team titles. Sami talks about their journey getting back to the titles and their journey as young men growing up in this business and then eventually main eventing WrestleMania and winning the titles. I did love that Owens was wearing a Rey Mysterio Eddie Guerrero shirt. Nice little subtle hint at that. But nothing much to say there. We got next Nia Jax. We see her path of destruction. We see her walking backstage. Tozawa with the nice little walk away spot that he is becoming known for in these backstage segments. Then we have Michael Cole in the ring. He introduced Nia Jax to the ring. And I'm sorry, this was one of the most wooden deliveries I've seen quite some time as Nia Jax introduced herself. I am Nia Jax, and I am the baddest human being in all of WWE, or the baddest human in all of WWE. Oh my God, that is a horrible nickname. Everyone thought Rhea Ripley would be the big star, but Nia squashed her. Shayna Baszler, they thought she would step up, but Nia squashed her too. Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, all got squashed too. Anyone else would get that treatment. This brings out Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark gets in the ring and she gets right in Nia Jax's face and she says, why don't you try to squash her face to face? You did that last week behind my back. Nia pushes her. The referees come in and separate the two. This leads to a one-on-one matchup. Another short matchup here, 2 minutes, 42 seconds. Zoe Stark looked good for a little bit, making a little bit of a comeback, but Nia Jax is just too much for anyone. She catches her with a big Samoan drop. Then she hits a big lay drop on the bottom rope and then follows up with the Annihilator for the 1-2-3. Nia Jax once again looking dominant here. Any thoughts, Kaden?
I don't care for Nia Jax. I never have, never will. And this was there. The promo was maybe cringe, and I was like, "Oh, does this need to happen? Do we need to have her talk?" Like, look, at least in a Nia match, I'm like, I understand. Like, I just have to kind of just watch and just hope that nobody gets injured. But the promo, I gotta actually like listen to her talk, which I think is like somehow worse. Like, there's no stakes, there's no like excitement. I was like, oh, somebody, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna botch this time with a match? At least like there's something where you're kind of like there's something there. You're paying attention for some reason. With a pro, oh my god, it was bad. It was so bad. I don't like what they're doing with Zoe Stark right now either. I really liked her stuff with Trish. Feels like they just kind of just abandoned everything they had done with her over
Yeah.
the last 6 months.
Now she's a
They had her
babyface
beat
for some
Becky
reason.
Lynch. Yeah, she
But
beat Becky Lynch as a heel, and now she's a babyface. I don't get it. I'm very confused about what's going on with Zoe. So that also ruined my interest in the match, let alone like Nia being in there. Uh, this certainly happened. Like this match, everything on this certainly was on the show. It was a decision.
I mean, like the women's matches on this show went 5 minutes. That's the equivalent of the one women's match that Tony Khan gives us, because like this is a 3-hour show. We only got 5 minutes for women on a 3-hour show. At least we get 8 minutes for women on the 2-hour show. I'm just saying, not much of an upgrade. I'm just saying more people need to talk about the fact that Triple H is not that good at booking women. Like I think we have years. We have a year and change of evidence that he just doesn't.
You know, it's you know what the great thing is, because we always talk about like this war between AEW and WWE, the tribalism. I'm really glad that Tony Khan and Triple H can have something to agree on, and it's not wanting to book women.
Yeah, that's what it seems. That's what it definitely seems like. Scott D'Amore is over here just shaking his head, along with Gail Kim sitting right next to him. Like, why they don't have one of you over there? Like, they should probably have one of you over there to book the women, you know?
They have like FaceTime calls, and they're like, "Hey, what are we not booking this week for the women, so we can be on the same page?"
Here, you book 2 matches that go 5 minutes, and I'll book 1 match that goes 6 minutes. So we kind of
exactly.
even, you know?
So we're even.
Next, we hear from Jimmy Uso, who didn't join the Judgment Day because he didn't want anything to do with any groups. He's not down with the groups anymore. He'll be watching the tag team title match tonight and will be there if Judgment Day is up to their normal stuff. This nicely transitions and segues into Finn Balor congratulating Dominic Mysterio on his win, and he says that Damian Priest isn't in the best place and Dom will have to have their backs in the main event, and then smoothly into Miz TV, which is very smoothly been wove into the story because we have his guest being Drew McIntyre. And Miz says he would have that Drew McIntyre would have that left Jey Uso last week for a beating to the Judgment Day, and he would have done the same thing. But McIntyre says they're nothing alike. That sends Miz into a speech about how they've both been the backbone of the company, with McIntyre being a former WWE champion, and then he lost, but had another chance at Clash at the Castle. And the bloodline cost him the title, with Jey Uso being front and center, leading a lot of those beatdowns. Then the Judgment Day beat up Uso, and McIntyre says, "Karma's a bitch." Miz calls McIntyre the Batman of WWE, and if he's the Batman of WWE, well then Cody Rhodes is Superman. This was a great comparison and analogy, but I hate that it's the Miz. The New Day comes out, and which is Kofi Kingston's got a match coming up against Drew McIntyre, but they say that they don't know this McIntyre. The one they know isn't a coward, because the one they know is Big D. But now there seems to be a bit of shrinkage going on, and that big sword might not be enough to do the job. Miz gets cut off with McIntyre saying that, telling him to shut up, and he says he was expected to save the day as always. He says Rose didn't make the save out of the goodness of his heart, but rather because it was his Mets to begin with. Kofi says that McIntyre should have saved Uso because it was the right thing to do, but McIntyre brings up all the beatings the Bloodline did, including, Jey Uso gave to Xavier Woods and what they did to him. He says Miz gets cut off yet again, with McIntyre telling him to shut up for the 3rd time. This leaves Kofi Kingston to say that Drew McIntyre knows what the right thing is to do, and he says that Drew McIntyre will always do what's right. And after a 4th shut up Miz, and Miz continue to talk, he gets headbutted. Drew McIntyre says enough of the talking. He wants to fight. This leads to a one-on-one matchup between the two former WWE champions, Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston, and they got plenty of time here, and they worked really well with one another. So much history between these two guys. It was actually Drew McIntyre who lost the Intercontinental Championship back in the day to Kofi Kingston, but they never had a match like this. This was a really, really good matchup. A hell of a matchup here. Very physical as well. Drew McIntyre with the huge reverse Alabama slam into the that apron at one point, a couple of great near falls. In the end, the finish made a lot of sense and continued this whole story as Ivar on the outside attacks Xavier Woods. This distracts Kofi Kingston, but doesn't distract Drew McIntyre, who hits the Claymore for the 1-2-3. This match went 12 minutes, 32 seconds. After the matchup, Ivar attacked Kofi Kingston, and Drew McIntyre just walks out, walks away, turns his back on the New Day, while Ivar hits an excellent moonsault on Kofi Kingston. Drew McIntyre getting the win here, continuing his slow burn heel turn. But I just got to give WWE a bunch of credit. I think it's been superb how they've woven the Judgment Day storyline into this whole slow burn Drew McIntyre heel turn, into Jey Uso being on Monday Night Raw. It's just, and it's gotten Cody Rhodes involved, Kevin Owens involved, Sami Zayn involved. This is some of the best storytelling WWE has done sans the bloodline this year. What did you think?
This is great. This is great. Loved it. I thought everything here, like consistently on this show, everything worked extremely well. I liked, yeah, like there's no like specific, like with this specifically, it was really just like everything worked. Some things are you're just like, I liked it. It worked well. It's a great work.
I just like how they're doing this whole slow burn with Drew, where there is gonna
Yeah.
be a group of fans where he makes sense, and it's just like he's not a heel yet. Like that's why I liked when the Miz said like he's like Batman, so he's pretty much so. Like that's pretty much him right now. He's only gonna give a f if he has to, and if it's to his benefit, not for somebody else's. It seems.
So now
And
you
now we even got the whole New Day Viking Raiders rivalry somehow woven into this as well. So like and then the history between the New Day and the Uso woven into this, and then a mention of the bloodline destroying Xavier Woods' crown into this. So yeah, like I said, I got to give WWE a bunch of credit for this.
So now you'd know this more than I would because I haven't paid attention. When did Drew start wearing those black trunks again?
I believe after SummerSlam.
Okay, that's what I was thinking because that is very much like his heel gear. That's his heel gear. Very like it, and everything he did in this match reminded me of what he was doing when he first got to Monday Night Raw as the Scottish Psychopath back in 2018 when he was with Ziggs. So it definitely feels like it is a slow burn, but they're doing really well with it. Wade on commentary at like when he added in the part about, oh, this is my best friend. He's not even talking to me, which means he's in a very dark place in his mind. Like that very much felt like, oh, Scottish Psychopath is like they're gonna probably go with that character if they do the heel turn, which I expected, but it kind of just cements that like, okay, they're probably going with that character again, using the same gear. That future shock DDT was freaking nasty. I love that DDT so much. Yeah, I thought like I don't love distraction finishes, but it worked really well for me at least with this one because it ties in that story because you still need to do that rubber match between Viking Raiders and New Day. So it kind of builds to that. It feels like maybe that might be on the pay-per-view potentially. Like the way they're building it if Eric is
I don't know about
cleared.
that. This seems like a TV program. We got Queen Monet who says, "I wonder if they do a 5-on-5 at Survivor Series instead of War Games, and Drew joins Team a Babyface, and he officially turns there on Cody. They can still do 5-on-5 if it's War Games. War Games is 5-on-5. So, but that's what I booked this already. I said this already. I said." The team you do 5-on-5, and the team babyface is Cody, Jay, Sammy, KO, and Drew versus the Judgment Day, Finn, Damian, Dom, but with Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso on their team. And you have it somehow. That's the reason why Drew wants to be on there, because he's opposite the bloodline. He's opposite the bloodline. You could do some way to get Judgment Day on his bad side as well, because he said that's the reason why he didn't get involved. They haven't rubbed him the wrong way or got involved in his business, so he's not going to get involved in theirs. Somehow you do that, it creates the reason, but then that's when you do the big heel turn where Drew finally turns, and it's going to be on Cody.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I could also just see them because the original few, I think the original War Games 2 and 3, maybe 4 as well, were 4-on-4. The first one was 3-3-3, and then they kinda started going to the 5-on-5, I believe, in 2021, and then they did it again last year. I could see them going to just do a 4-on-4 again, but yeah, that's also a really good idea that kinda ties everything together, especially since War Games is a dual branded PLE, so you can get away with it even though they don't really care about crossing brands, but you can at least you can make an excuse for it.
They don't care.
They don't care, but you
They don't
could.
care. They don't care at all. Oh,
I
we
know
get a
that.
recap of what happened on SmackDown and an announcement that it will be a handicap match at Fastlane a week from this Saturday with John Cena going up against the Bloodlines, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Okay. Then we had the main event of the show. It was for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, the Judgment Days, Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This match, though, these two teams, they know each other very well. They pretty much have been on the main event of every single Monday Night Raw since June. And this one was just, this felt like it was plucked out of the Attitude Era, and this was just so much fun. This was a great main event matchup. Everybody played their roles very well, and then the shenanigans at the end made it a lot different from everything else what we've seen. We get Dominic Mysterio getting involved, which brings out Jey Uso. Once Jey Uso's attacking Dom on the outside, JD McDonough comes out. This brings out Cody Rhodes, who hits a big tope suicida, which sends JD McDonough flying over the announce table into Michael Cole. We think he's out of play while Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are attacking Dom. The referees and officials try to separate them. It looks like the babyface are well on their way to victory. We get a stunner. We get the Aluva kick by Sami Zayn on Damian Priest. Well, with the referee distracted, not really, because he could just slightly turn around. Based on the camera angle they had, he could have easily turned around at the point that he did and saw that. But JD McDonough nails Sami Zayn with the tag team title, giving the Judgment Day the 1-2-3. This was, like I said, just plucked out of the Attitude Era, had a bunch of smoke and mirrors, a bunch of people involved, but was never dull, was never boring, was always entertaining, and the crowd was hot. It was electric for this entire match. An awesome main event to the show, and they were definitely getting somewhere with all this craziness at the end. And then the craziness continued after the matchup as Judgment Day is celebrating. Out comes Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, which jumpstarts a whole big brawl between the baby faces and the Judgment Day, and with the brawl ending with the baby faces standing tall, Kevin Owens hitting a big stunner as we close off Monday Night Raw in chaos. What did you think about this main event matchup with the Judgment Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? I believe the final match time was, yes, 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 13 seconds. So got plenty of time for the main event spot here.
Yeah.
What did you think?
This was another Judgment Day versus Sammy KO and the Merry Band of Misfits. I it's good. Every match is good. They're just kind of the same at a certain point, and you know exactly what to expect. Somebody's going to interfere, and the heels are going to probably win. Maybe one week you have the faces somehow win, but like I knew they weren't going to win their titles back 2 weeks later on a random episode of Raw. I expected somebody to interfere in this match, and then you did the big brawl. The brawl was cool. I will say, I really liked how they did the brawl. I thought it was shot well. I know somebody made the point on Twitter, I forgot who it was, that it was just like everything in this was agented very well, which I agree with. I Yeah, as someone who doesn't watch Raw every week, it was, like, at least still, like it wasn't as bad as everybody who's like, "Oh, every single week is the same main event." It was still a little bit because I catch up, but it was good. Like, they did really solid work. I mean, there's nothing I don't think there's really much more to add because it's the same it's we've been saying it for 6 months now, like, they're the same match, so I don't know what else you add at a certain point. You're like, "Oh, it's good. It was entertaining."
And folks, we still got 2 more months before we get to War Games and Survivor Series. Sweet
Just get CM
Jesus.
Punk into this company, please. Do something different. Get CM Punk.
Jesus
Get
Christ.
something.
It's like, yeah, I do agree with you that the only nitpick to this entire main event is that, yeah, we've seen this a lot. We've seen a lot of this combination of people together, and there's no sign of this changing anytime soon. That's the issue. That's the issue. We
Mhm.
need to find some ways to freshen it up. Jay Uso made it a little bit more freshened up for a little bit here, but
Yes.
even him, even being here for a month already, it's already still like, okay, we're still got the
Yep.
same people though. It's still Cody Rhodes, it's still Sami Zayn, it's still Kevin Owens, it's still those guys. So here we go.
Yeah, like, it reminds me of, like, in AEW when they had that year of purgatory between the JAS and Blackpool
Yeah.
Combat Club. Every single week, there was some variation of it, but at least that was, like, man, sometimes it was a promo, there were at least a few people jumping in and out 'cause you had, Santana Ortiz in there, you had Eddie in there, like, it at least was a little fresh, and this one is the same damn people. You do obviously, like, you do add like, JD McDonough eventually got added in there, now Jey Uso's in there, and at a certain point, you had Riddle in there, a choice, but ma like, I'm tired
No, wasn't
of
Riddle? Riddle was
this.
involved in the bloodline. So I see you're mixing all the Sammy and KO stuff together.
No, I think they did he not get added in this for, like, a minute? Did he not? I don't I
No,
don't know,
he didn't. He didn't
it's
find
been
himself in
so
the
long.
vortex. Seth found
Okay,
himself in
well,
the vortex for a while, but yeah,
yeah. Okay, well then, never mind, Riddle was in the Vortex last year. I forgot, yeah, he was in the
he,
Vortex last
he
year
was in
for
the
Backlash.
Sammy KO bloodline vortex. Yeah, he got stuck in that
Yes.
when he came back. But yeah, not this
Yeah.
one. Not this one. He
Yes,
was
yeah.
involved in the Sammy KO Imperium.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, yeah,
That's where you
yeah,
probably were
yeah.
thinking.
Yes,
We got
that's exactly what I was thinking of.
We got Zavet in the chat who says, please no more the Judgment Day versus KO and Sammy every week. And we got Aubrey who says, William Regal's voice, War Games. Yes, we're going to see the return of
War
Regal
Games.
just to say War Games. War Games.
Oh,
That's all we need.
I
All
wish
right.
his appearance contract, like, ran up before that. I don't think it does. I think it runs up in January, but I really want maybe they can use the video.
Let's put our thumbs in the middle, Kaden. Everybody in the chat, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for last night's Raw, MVP, LVP, match of the night, and out of 10, what did you give the show? For me and Kaden, 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up from both of us. Out of 10, what did you give the show, Kaden?
I'm going to give it an 8. I really enjoyed it, and I watched it on the recording 'cause I didn't wanna watch it live, so I gotta skip through all the commercials. Makes it even better.
There you go. I'm actually going to go higher. I'm going to go 8.5. I think this was one of the best episodes of Raw this year. They continue
Yep.
on the whole narrative thread, which has become kind of the strong point of Monday Night Raw. Watching it week to week is very episodic. Uh, and then they had 3 banger matches on this show with the North American title matchup, Drew versus Kofi, and then the main event, as well as a fun hoss fight with Otis and Bronson Reed. Like, this was one of the best episodes of Monday Night Raw this year. It didn't need any of the big newsworthy, noteworthy stuff, but definitely
Yep.
up there when we get to the end of the year for sure. What was your match of the night, Kaden?
It's between Kofi and Drew and, Dragon Lee and Dom, but I'm gonna lean to Dragon Lee and Dom because I just prefer flippy shit.
I'm gonna go with the main event. I think that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Judgment Day has been done to death, but every time
Mhm.
it's so good to great every single time.
It's
So it's
good.
like,
Yeah.
how can we really complain all that much? I enjoyed the main event and I enjoyed the finish as well. JD once again being the X factor for Judgment Day. Hopefully, we get some progression and he could just join the group already, or just say no. Either or. Can we move on? Move the fuck on.
Mhm.
Uh your MVP for the show, Kaden.
Dominic Mysterio, like, I thought his promo stuff at the beginning was good. He got, obviously, his loud reactions, and he probably had the best match of his career so far. So and he got a win over Dragon Lee without needing Mommy's help. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Dom.
I'm gonna go co-MVP with Dom Dragon Lee. That was a hell of a showcase for him, and he looked like a bona fide star here. And I will go with Drew
Mhm.
McIntyre because I'm loving his character
Oh,
work
yeah.
right now. So I got to give it to all of those guys for last night's show. LVP for the show, Kaden.
Oh, there's a few. I'm gonna go with Nia for that promo. That was bad. That was real bad.
I'm gonna go with Nia Jax for them changing her song and the promo. They changed her damn song. She had an iconic song and they changed it. What? And that was an
Iconic
awful
song.
promo. Yes,
Iconic.
not like most girls. Come on, man. I used to sing that in the shower. Oh my god.
Oh, I sang it, but I added my own lyrics.
I don't want to hear it. Let us know in the chat here. Last call for comments as we wind things down here. We got Safed who says MVP, Dom, Dragon Lee, and Drew. So he had the same ones as me. He also says match of the night, Dragon Lee versus Dom. We got Aubrey who says MVP, Drew. We got Aubrey who also says LVP is Nia Jax, all cap. AOP who says thumbs up. And Trey Jones who says thumbs up as well. I want to thank Kaden for joining me today for Rated Raw review number 114. Please, Kaden, the floor is yours. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media, everything you got going on, your new show, and all that good stuff.
Don't follow me on social media because I don't want more followers at this point. You can find me on, actually, you can follow my other Twitter that I have now for my new channel, Out the Ring. I'm making sure that it's at Out the Ring on Twitter, no spaces, no underscores, nothing like that. It is my new little passion project where I will be interviewing wrestlers about anything outside of the ring, whatever their hobbies are, interests, whatever they want to talk about, they're allowed to talk about as long as it's not about wrestling. That's the goal with that channel. And then I might be doing some hockey writing this season. So just kind of stay tuned. If you do know my Twitter, I'm not plugging that. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't.
Kaden something something FTW.
Yes.
See, I know it. I know it. The people need to know it. They need to follow you. Get your
They don't need to follow me.
get your follower count up because you be having some great stuff on your Twitter, right?
Well, me trying to flirt with Kenny Omega and get a date is one
Exactly.
way to do it.
Like that, right
Yes.
there. That's Caden's attempts to flirt with Kenny Omega on the Twitter page. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month. We got exclusive content over there. We had Review of Honor, which you can check out right now. That's also available for our members of the page. We'll also have another exclusive interview that you get early access to. Right now, you can check out our interview with Matt Cardona over at patreon.com/True Hill Heat. So check that out and subscribe to True Hill Heat Sports, as we'll have more content for the NFL, for the MLB as the playoffs come near as well. And check out all the great content we got on the channel right here, right now, like True Hill Heat 244 with myself, True Jaw Josh, and Sat E. Niangi, as well as Alex McCarthy talking about that last week in wrestling with all the WWE releases, AEW Grand Slam, SmackDown to USA, and more. Check out Collision Discourse with myself and Just JJ reviewing AEW Collision from this past Saturday with Christian Cage becoming new, still TNT champion. And check out our review of NJPW Destruction in Kobe 2023 from yesterday with myself, Jay News, and Sanal, breaking down all the action, including a classic between Yota Tsuji and Will Ospreay. But want to thank Kaden once again for joining us. Thank you all for joining us live and watching us on demand. Remember to drop the thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you are new. For Kaden, it is me, your True Phenom SP3. This has been Rated Raw Review number 114 for the September 25th, 2023 edition of Monday Night Raw. We are signing off until next time.